Well, hello. Shelf life 31. Allow it to commence. As you can see, I have a new notebook. Is the other one up here? This one is retired. And I had so many notebooks that I just would stop like, I'd leave like this much left in them. So many of them. So a lot of my notebooks are going to be 5 years ago and then they get restarted. 5 years ago and then they get restarted. So here we are. I'm just making sure that I didn't have any stuff midweek that I wanted to discuss from my most recent read. Here we go. For Shelf Life 30 and everything after that. This is all nonsense. Okay, there's some themes right there. Anything else? And that's it. Here, we're just going to put that there. And then we moved on to this little guy. And I think that this is going to work better because I have another notebook that is going to be specifically for writing. I've noticed in writing, I prefer to write longhand. I come from a time where in third grade they taught us cursive that I never used, but writing out by hand, that's my preferred method for thinking. And I think all drafts should be written out in longhand for me, first and foremost, instead of trying to think through typing and playing with the computer. That's for writing things after. That's for after writing things after. It's been quite a week. Let's do our deep breath. What is it? I forget the name of this technique, but it's the double sip. Huberman talks about it a little bit. So let's do one of those. Calm down immediately. I've been meditating. I've been doing my Wim Hof breathing techniques. I got to 3 minutes this week. That was incredible. Didn't know that I could do that. And then I started doing CO2 tables just because I'm very interested. Aside from feeling like I've completely lost control of myself with purchasing books, I've been really becoming more intentional with my reading and writing time. And I have watched a couple of other really good, I hate the terms YouTuber, bookstagrammer, book talker, so book folk. I've been introducing myself to a number of pretty good book folk. I'll mention them in this video, but I've got some tips and tricks and ways to kind of not just like read on a monthly schedule, like, oh, okay, well, it's the end of the month. I need to finish this. Like, and then the next month, what do? I just come down here and I'll pick something. And sometimes I'll pick it based on the page count. And it's like, that's not really getting me anywhere. It's not further. Yes, I'm reading more. Yes, I'm watching less TV, but it's not helping. So this week, it was kind of weird because I had a show in Manchester, New Hampshire. Let's start with that. Yeah, let's start with that. And all these runs I had to do. And on top of that, it's like, oh, we're going to film content. And whenever I have a show and I have to think about what equipment I need to bring, I start getting anxious. I start looking at parking and what other bands and how do I have to post. And I really gave myself permission to not go crazy with book content. And that's not necessarily the best way of doing things. Plus, there's a good amount of work. Like I said before, I'm a welder, so I can listen to a lot of things. So I listen to a lot of, instead of books this week, I listen to a lot of book folk. So, and I found it very helpful. Specifically, hold on. First, like and subscribe. But we're going to talk about book hauls and where I want to how I want to change my reading goals and my writing goals. So let's see how this goes. More intentional with reading time. So I started watching more Leaf by Leaf with Chris Vi, and I don't like watching videos on a book that I want to read or that I'm about to read because there might be a spoiler, there might be something to detract my enthusiasm from reading it. Because if I hear one bad thing, even if it's minuscule, it's like, this guy said it sucked. I'll find something else. And that's the like I need to figure it out for myself, and that kind of pulls me in the other direction, and I can't really focus on what I'm reading. That single-minded focus. So I started watching some of his playlist stuff and just lists. I like lists. It seems that book people enjoy lists. And I have never heard of the concept of, I think we all know that I'm not an academic, but I like doing self imposed academia. I like coursework, I like syllabi. Um, some of the books that I've gathered in the past have been based off of David Foster Wallace's syllabus when he was teaching. So again, it's the search for that type of book. I remember walking into bookstores and just, I don't know, and I would just wander to the same spots, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. So the syllabus, the coursework, the recommendations, those have been seeming to help. And with Leaf by Leaf with Chris, he started talking about, there were a couple of them, and one of them was the Western canon. And I don't know necessarily what the Western canon is, but it was like he had a list of, I don't know, 10 or 12 like OG classics, and he organized them chronologically and explained not necessarily why this is a great book, but why this book can help you to understand and unlock other later pieces. And like, this is stuff that you would learn in coursework, but I don't have to pay for it. I could just go out and buy these books and go on the internet, and you guys in the comments can help me. So I like that. And that paired with, what's the guy's name? Better Than Food. Found him this week. That dude's awesome. And he had, where did I put this book? He had, see, I've been playing with notebooks. Um, an idea of to be read. Everyone has their to be read list. I think on Goodreads, mine is like 115 books. A to be read before death list. And I love this. I constantly try to remind myself of my own mortality. And this is a fantastic way of doing it. And the rules are you do 10 books that you want to read before you die. And as you read, he said he recommends write them down by hand and then cross them off, and there'll be a satisfaction with that. But you can't alter that list until you're done with the list. And then, like through your time reading it, you'll evolve. Your lists will evolve over time. So I thought that that was fascinating. So I came down here, I looked at this, I went off the top of my head, and I looked at Goodreads, and I was like, well, what do I want to do? So that'll be the first thing I share today. And I posted this on Instagram, so nothing new here. But and just in case you're just on YouTube, my to be read before death list. My phone's turned around because I think the camera's better, so hopefully you can see that. Let's try. I don't know if that was terrible or not. We have, and these are in no order. These are just as I thought them. Moby Dick, right there. My Moby Dick is one I got at a school sale. My high school had like some sort of, or they might have been throwing it out. Herman Melville's Moby Dick with the Reader's Guide, the AMSCO literature program. It is not aesthetically pleasing, but it is all functionality, and it has reading stuff. In the back, I don't know if it is helpful, but it looks like there's like quizzes. But I have and I looked up on ChatGPT if this is unabridged. This is an unabridged copy, so it's a win. So there's one. The recognitions, right there. I recently picked that one up because it looks awesome. What a cool looking book, and it's NYRB. We all trust them. Monte Cristo. I keep doing the serialized Monte Cristo, and that's gonna be my first one on this list that I just slaughter. Like it has now, now that I finished my most recent read, it has moved up in priority. So Monte Cristo's up there. Don Quixote. I don't know much about that. I know it's older, and I have a feeling it's kind of like Monte Cristo, but I could be totally wrong. It gives me that same vibe from the covers. The Brothers K. I've loved Dostoevsky. I've listened to Crimes and Punishment. I've read White Knights, and I've read, what's the other one? White Knights and Notes from the Underground. Manic. Loved it. So Brothers K is another long one. And I like these long, intimidating books. I kind of see them like endurance tests. And I like running slow and running miserably, but I'm not good at it. Kind of like reading, but here we go, the big stuff. 100 Years of Solitude. Um, right here, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. East of, I love Steinbeck. I just finished Canary Row. It's somewhere in here, and I read The Moon Is Down. I don't know if it was this year or the end of last year. And I've read The Pearl and I've read Of Mice and Men. But I know the two biggies, East of Eden and Grapes of Wrath. Steinbeck's good. He hasn't sunk one on me yet, so they didn't seem too rough. Of like, I like his style. War and Peace, kind of the other big chunky Russian. I don't know anything about Tolstoy. I've always heard like these stereotypes, man. Like, what am I doing? I've always heard that that was like a slog, but after I posted this picture, people were like, no, I thought the same thing. And it was awesome. So, War and Peace, know nothing about it. And then finally, the last one, I was like, I don't know about this book or this book or this book. But I grabbed Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's a lot of controversy about this book. Number two, I don't know anything about this controversy. I know it has something to do with politics and economics and like socialism versus capitalism. Number three, a lot of people are like, oh, don't read that because of blah, blah, blah. I'm not going off of your opinion. And number four, since Borders Books and Music, I would go into with my cousins when I was a kid, I remember on the shelves, this was one that was always like faced forward and it would be super thick. And I would read the back as a kid, like 11, 12-year old. And I'm like, what is this about? And I flip through it and I'm just like, wall of text. And I'm like, who the hell reads this? So it has like a space of mystery. It might be trash. It might not be. Also, I know that a lot of like AP high schoolers, like this is like a harder high school level read. It's not a Gravity's Rainbow. So even though it's humongous, I don't think it's going to elude me the way Ulysses will, I think. And these are all assumptions and things that I don't know. And you see the theme of I don't know and how I'm going directly into I don't know. It's the giving into curiosity. Like, don't be afraid, because that has been a theme when I reflect that fear and stalling and waiting to do the right thing and waiting for the right time has always hurt me. So I'm done with that, and I'm trying to make that more intentional. And with this list, To Be Read Before Death, a lot of these books are the ones that's like, oh, I'll get to when I'm 50. I'll get to when I'm a more well-read guy. It's like, dude, you read Infinite Jest. You read The Tunnel. You read Gravity's Rainbow. Like these are like how David Goggins will say, reach into the cookie jar. Oh, when you're all poopy pants and you don't think that you could do it anymore. It's like, no, reach into the cookie jar and remember who you are and what you did. Like, I can read English. Maybe not well, maybe not the best. Like running. I'm not the fastest, but I can read, so I can read. Suffer, man. It's fine. It's good for you. So these are the priorities, and not priorities as in I have to read this one after this one after this one. And we'll get into that in a second. But these are the next big ones that are coming up. So, and one of the first ones, Ulysses. As soon as I wrote down 10, I was like, oh, Ulysses, I want to read that. That will go on the next list. This is one of those big intimidating ones that I know I want to get to, but these other ones are going to come first. So I'm now motivated to get this done so I can write the next list. And I think that will drive my literary learning and my wisdom. It'll drive my wisdom as I age, and it gives me a more intentional reading life. So this has been great. This has been fun. Go check him out. Better Than Food. Now another list from Chris via Leaf by Leaf. He was another one I was watching, and Red Reed. I like him. He did a hysterical April Fool's Day. I was driving to the dump, one of my favorite places to look for books, and he had like tips on how to read more, and one of them was like, oh, read at work. And he's talking about this because I read at work. And then he kept going and going, and then it got more and more ridiculous. And I was like, this has to be satire. And lo and behold, a month ago, like April Fool's, hysterical. Go check him out. But yeah, another one on Leaf by Leaf was why read philosophy? And philosophy has been something I've been interested in, but I haven't been necessarily introduced to. And I like the idea of standing on the shoulders of giants when it comes to thinking. So instead of like spending my whole life trying to think, like with reading, you can live so many lifetimes. It's all time based. But with philosophy, you can do this also with thinking. So philosophy, poetry, these core Western canons, and all a lot of them, the way he sets them up are chronological. I really like that. I don't get lost with all this stuff. So I kind of reset up what is going to be coming down the pike, but something that not they all, but like I've been influenced. And like with the Count of Monte Cristo, that has been like book number 2 to my main squeeze, and it's taken a real back seat. So how do I start managing multiple books at a time? And between him and Better Than Food and Read Red, and there's a couple other guys, there's like a strategy to having, or here's what I'm going to do. You're going to have your main book, your main fun book. I don't know which one the next one's going to be, but it would be something like the Golden Notebook or Satan Tango, Lolita. One of these ones that like aren't necessarily on a list, but it's like the Brodernist. I'm going to have a Brodernist book. I'm going to have a Western canon that I'm working on, or a TBR list, TBR before death list, a philosophy book, and a book of poetry. So that seems to be how I'm going to do it. And with philosophy, I picked up, before I show it, I love the library. I go there all the time for children's books, and I love perusing and finding stuff. But I don't necessarily like reading books from the library because I can't mark them up. I feel like they're a relic, and the due date stresses me out. So I'll grab something. Like this week, I grabbed the Iliad and Plato because I wanted to start. But as soon as I started, I'm like, I need my own copies. So yesterday, I went and grabbed some Penguin Classics. I got Plato's The Republic. This is the first philosophical book I'm going to be checking out. Fun fact, I think Plato means wide, and the dude was apparently jacked. He was like a wrestler, and he was all about also the body and the mind. Yes, and he had an exceptional beard, and he was balding with long hair. Like, oh, I could be totally wrong, and that's okay. Western canon, I know Gilgamesh is older, but probably the oldest story, Homer, the Iliad, and I also grabbed the Odyssey. I got this one in New Hampshire. They didn't have the Iliad in New Hampshire, so I grabbed these two yesterday on my way home from the union vote, which is why this is on Monday. I'm on strike. We're not going to get into that, but like that just kind of blurted out. Now, the reason I got the Odyssey, because this is going to be book 2 in the canon, was because that I found out Ulysses is loosely based off the Odyssey. And that this is confusing, and it has been recommended that if you want to read Ulysses, to read the Odyssey, which I want to read after the Iliad, and Hamlet. So I scored Hamlet, just a paperback, and there are a bunch of copies of this one, but this one had the cool woodcuts. See the art? Look at that. Woodcuts. And it had a whole bunch of detailed notes and stuff to help me through this supplemental material. I have been putting off, I hear from everyone, read supplemental material. Get this other book to explain Gravity's Rainbow. But then I also heard supplemental material can also be videos and asking AI, like, hey, can you like help me out with this chapter? So I have been using supplemental material. There's nothing wrong with it. It helps you have a deeper understanding, but also don't cloud. It doesn't cloud your initial read. So supplemental material. So this one had that, and it was cheaper. So these three yesterday was my purchase. So that's one of my book hauls. And I wanted to get those when I had my death metal show on Friday in New Hampshire. I flew up to Manchester, New Hampshire. Parking there is not fun. And I only had like 40 minutes left to get into Bookery, which is on Elm Street. It's like the main strip, at least the main one for me, with Southern New Hampshire University, Southern New England University. It was a happening place, but I ran down there and they didn't have what I wanted. But I was like, I'm here. I'm gonna get something. So I got Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged because it was on my list. I got Homer's The Odyssey. What a cool cover. And it's like big print, which is like, oh, that'll be so relaxing for the eyes. Then I got Ulysses. And then I also got Pay As You Go, Escort David Johnson. I don't necessarily know if this is a Broadernist book, but I like the idea of like I would like to be current with books. I would like to know what some of the hubbub of what's going on in the world right now is happening, and I've heard a lot going on here. I think the book is 2 or 3 years old. It finally came out in paperback. That's why I snagged it, because I like paperback. I don't necessarily go for hardcovers unless it's, my only option or like the smartest option for me in that particular time. But yeah, I'm gonna get something. I'm at an independent bookstore, and I didn't go at independent bookstore day, so there we go. Yeah. So, boo. What else is happening? So I got 3 more weeks left until I go on vacation. So I'm trying to pick out my vacation book and my long plane ride book, which is kind of like its own thing. And I'm kind of like with that planning out my year. So the philosophy, the poetry, still going through Ezra Pound. I'm really starting to like this guy. Not this guy. I'm starting to like his art. Watch myself. I'm on like page 30 of these, but like I try to get like one of these a day, part of my dailies. And then I know later in the year, there will be a movie adaptation. So I got Vineland from Thomas Pynchon. Pynchon's the man. No need to discuss that. Look, I have my own Thomas Pynchon area right here for the GOAT. We'll see if he's the GOAT after I finish his whole canon, but that's a project. Here we have the count. Where am I on the count? I think I'm at the same spot from last week. I didn't do anything. 395. So I still got what, like 1,200 pages left, or like 1,000? I got like 800 pages left in this. I think this is gonna be my whole vacation read. And then I also have some books on pre-order that I want to get to. Like I said, I want to be more current. So that movie's coming out. Pynchon's new book, Shadow Ticket, will be coming out in October. So I want to be ready to read that. And I also ordered from Deep Vellum that German book, Schadenfreude, or I don't know what it is, but everyone is very excited about it. It's supposed to be a top-tier Broadernist book, and I want to be current. We're going to be probably stopping everything and reading that. So are these too lofty of goals? It is if you're trying to go week by week, time by time, and have like these wild page counts. But I've been really thinking about this a lot lately and how I don't want to do that. And chill, man. Get to what you get to. So it's like this is like my loose goal for the rest of the year, because I didn't expect Gravity's Rainbow to take me the first quarter of the year, and I didn't get any other books done. So I had to do some reassessing. I felt like I wasn't living up to my New Year's 25 for 25. And it's like, dude, this is stupid. Just relax. Same thing with like pacing and running. It's like, dude, just relax. The fact that you're reading, the fact that you're off the couch, you're doing it, man. Talking to myself, but I'm also talking to you. If anybody gets any help or worth or validation through this, that's the whole point of this channel. And the whole point of this channel, it's to share and to create community and to like, I don't have any friends that read like this, but I knew that there are people on the internet who do this. And who is it? Chad Post from Open Letter Books. I'm sorry if I just screwed up your name. He had on the Life on Books podcast, Tony asked him like, what's something people can do to make reading cooler? And the guy was like, make content about it. And I had been looking for an excuse. And it's like, you don't need an excuse, man. Just do it. So here we are. Here you are. Thank you for being here. Like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. How was that? That was perfect. I'm getting better at this. So Schadenfreude, I'm going to be reading that when it comes out. But yeah, I want to have, like, these are kind of like along the way. And aside from being more intentional, it's been helping me to just like, no, you don't need to watch this show and then you could read. No, you don't need to watch this video and then you could read. Get on, like I have this looming voice in my head, get off your phone. Get off your phone. You could be doing something constructive. Time is ticking. You're dying 1 second at a time. It's like, all right, that's fine. I was going somewhere with all this. Oh, another technique that I really like that correlates with running. Aside from doing daily reading and having a daily, like, I'm going to sit, I'm going to read, I'm going to get something out of it, not necessarily a page count or a time, but also the idea of a weekly long read. I thought this was genius. Just like a long run, you don't go out running long every day. You have one dedicated day where you go nice and slow and you chug it out. And I was like, this is genius. So I want to put that into my reading schedule, a long read where it's like, all right, you could take your bits and bites and your sips of books throughout your day, throughout your week when you can make time, but also intentionally have a long read. And I was like, that's the romanticized version of what I thought of when I thought of becoming a reader. And that's how I could give it to myself. So plan a long read. Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to share. I'm scattered. I don't know if you noticed. I had more coffee than I'm supposed to and probably more sugar than I'm supposed to. Let's take a look at the notes. Intentional. Bookery, we talked about that place. Like and subscribe. We don't need to talk about that. Yeah, loosen up. It takes as long as it takes, and you cannot rush excellence. That is one of my mantras. You cannot rush excellence. They do not like to hear that at work, but oh well. Oh well for them. Now, we've made it. All the way to, hold on, I'm going to see how far in we are. We're at 28 minutes already. Holy moly. That's fine. But I finished because I knew I'd have today to send this out. I finished Solenoid by Mircea Cartarescu. Perfect pronunciation. And this book, dude, this book is just like so F word. Like, I enjoyed this immensely. It made me uncomfortable. I've heard that one of the things that differentiates good from great or literature from whatever the non-literature is that it makes you feel. And this book hits all those tight little nerve endings. This book was amazing. We're gonna put her, there we go. Put it right there. This has a special place on my shelf now. And because I finished it last night, and because it's still fresh, and because I was talking about how I like to watch the videos of books after I read them, I finished this probably at like midnight last night, and there are so many videos that I've been waiting to watch for when I'm done with this. I haven't gotten to them. So this is going to be the focus of probably maybe next week's video, or I might do one in the middle of the week, but I need to let this one simmer for a while. But I was in my bed last night like, what just happened? It started when how do I even discuss this. I'm just gonna off the cuff, like I do with everything. The idea of micro into macro, like some of these thoughts and concepts I have been thinking to myself for a long time. It's kind of like those, like when the ultra zoom out the speck of dust. It's like, are you actually a speck of dust? All the way to like, is that speck of dust like a mite on your hand? Like, and then you could zoom in that far, and it's just like an endless void back and forth. We started to talk about this, and then it became travelable and mind blown. And the parallels with science, time, and I don't even know if it's religion's the right word for it, but like death and the self, all in like the most perfect, grimiest of settings, and these chosen people that are not chosen, these creatures that are just eating themselves, but are they real or are they a dream? The dreamscapes, the lucid dreaming, the what? Amazing. Um, the parallels with child life, your own children, and how like everyone is a said child, and you're kind of like not product of your environment. Like, to see, I can't come on here after doing a half an hour of like update for my week after having my mind blown and then give you a real review. So I'm just giving you the raw, like, oh, it hit me. It hit me good. And it, like, pick it up and read it. But, like, dude, awesome. So I think it deserves its whole video. We'll probably do a unshelved for this one. I'll probably do an unshelved. How about you guys vote or let me know if you would be interested in a separate unshelved just on this. I'll probably put that in a poll. Once I got to probably page 500, I couldn't find my highlighter. But this was probably the first book I ever like very lightly annotated where I just highlighted stuff that I liked. Because there is no castle without a forbidden room, there where dwells the most unbearable object in the cosmos, the truth. Like, I would just highlight stuff that just smacked. Because diamonds are best revealed when placed against black felt, and paradise when lit by the flames of hell. Like, the prose in this is just phenomenal. And it speaks to both. Here's another one. And I'm not even pre-reading these. It's just what I highlighted. Let's see if it hits. It is like old people who are nothing more than walking wounds, clots of nostalgia, like dry blood on scraped skin. Like, you just painted a masterpiece with that sentence. The animal in which we live, the annelid worm with flesh made of the infinite dust of stars. Okay, I can just literally go through this and read everything that I highlighted. So that's something that I found tremendously helpful, beginning annotating. So that's another part of the intentionality that we're going to be doing. But this definitely deserves its own go through. I want to watch everything. I want to see, let it simmer, see what feelings pull up. But there were some themes, child life and cruelty, or like just the harsh realities of like a Soviet city. And then it really got into like Soviet, like the needs of the community, the people who lived in the community. That was just an interesting, not side, but like just a build of everything. Themes of you are not your body. Like something inside you is separate than your flesh suit. I thought that was profound. And yeah, man, I don't want to keep talking because I will accidentally spoil. But pick this up. Oh, and written in Romanian, I think. We have to do a shout out to the translation of Sean Cotter, because if I don't do that, I'd be doing a disservice to all the English readers. This was in itself its own wonderful piece of art. The writing, but also the translation. Double art, double smack with this. Excellent. I'm not sure if the word azure was supposed to be in this so many times, but it was drilled into me, azure. So it's like this color. It's like the whole film in my head watching this book was filmed with a cool filter. So it was very effective, but desolate, bleak. But also there was a ton of hope. And I'll give you a clue. If you look back to one of my last videos where I read the longer passage about the child, that's the clue. The way that that is tied into the end was, I'm reaching for a word other than genius, but it was like jaw dropping, and it's like he did it. So, like, well played, my good sir. So I don't know, this was right up my alley. So I don't. After all these thinking books, Count of Monte Cristo, we're going to be binging this because this is like watching your favorite show. This is like watching Vikings from episode one all the way to the end. It's like, or like some other show that you like, Sons of Anarchy. I was really into that at one point. I'm going to be reading that. That's going to be a main squeeze. Here's my philosophy book. Ezra Pound. And I think these are going to be the Three Amigos right now. Right now. Boom, boom, boom. So let me know what you think. Always let me know what you think. I love talking to you guys. I'm going to be more intentional with posting as well, but I'm not going to do too much to detract away from my books and doing more writing. I'm now rambling. This has been fun. Shelf life, 32 next week, or maybe an unshelved. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Talk to you later. Love you guys. It's been too long. Out. Bye. Time to eat.